Hi YouTube, Monchismo Eugene, another video from Exit Strategy. Welcome. I'm going to talk to you guys about something that, again, you guys are probably familiar with all too well. But this is going to come as a response to a comment from one of my subscribers who's a really awesome kid or awesome guy. I think he's good natured and he's dealing with some stuff by way of his work, but I won't go into details about that. Just keep him in prayer because prayer is a strong element when it comes to beating any kind of evil force. And I embrace prayer, and I encourage you guys who don't really believe in prayer, you've tried it and it doesn't work for you, just keep trying. Just keep. Well, I don't like to say trying, but keep putting prayers up, man, so those blessings can come down. God will reveal himself to you. Trust and believe. So this is a comment. It says, Calvin, I don't remember right now, but did you make a video about how narcissists interrupt you and don't let you get a word in? Whether or not you did make the video, wouldn't you agree that seems to be the case? Why do they do that? It is so frustrating. Those freaking narcs. Appreciate your comment, man. And I replied to him. And I said, this is interesting because I have been told by many people in the past that I don't let them finish what they want to say. But that has been the case with all, if not most, being narcissists as I look back. It's a weird dynamic how they try to project and shift their dark dominance over or onto you. Granted, I do most of the talking in the conversation, but today, being awakened, I know if I don't lead, it means that I'm following. And if you don't know where the hell you going, then I'm damn sure not following you. I ended with create and form those boundaries, my bro, and stick to it. Now, I say this often, but I think it probably deserves saying again and probably a million more times, especially when we're dealing with this. In no other aspect of life do I think we will repeat the same thing that we've said in times past a million times, because there's someone that needs to really hear it at least one time, and you may have heard it 100 times. So close your ears just for a few seconds. And that thing that I've said time and time again is that even before I awakened to narcissistic personality disorder and the abuse that follows with these people, I was very attuned to something that was really off. And I think a lot of us empaths, chosen ones, will undeniably, come to that conclusion that that's been the case. Before we became aware of what this actually was, we were very attuned to something was just not right. And our intuition was very strong even back then. We dumbed it down. We talked ourselves out of it. And so good-natured people, this is what we tend to do. We dismiss it. And so, I would pretty much carry the conversation because being familiar with what I'm talking about, I tend to carry a conversation on. I'm pretty comfortable in conversation if I'm familiar with what I'm talking about. And most of the time, I would like to say that I am familiar with what I'm talking about. Now, if you struck a conversation up about something, obviously, if I'm not familiar with that, you would, however, take the lead in that conversation. But it's not a lot of things that I can't connect with because I've either heard some of that topic, or I've read or watched it on TV, just because of the intel that empaths, we carry on a lot of energy, and we put out a lot of energy. So very much so, if you for me with your conversation, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, you have the floor. But to interject in conversations such as that, I can even do that. But back to what I'm saying about carrying the conversation or leading the conversation, you will find with these dark people, and I'm going to tell you something else before I go into the narcissist. Understand people who have been abused. You are listening to me. This is not for the narcissists because they already know I'm aware of what their ass is up to. Got them down pat. But this was something that a narcissist will do. And well, I was going to say, this is not regarding narcissists, first of all. The ones of us who have been codependent, childhood wounds, need to be needed, do-gooders, like we used to say, kiss ass, brown nosers. Even if you're not a narcissist, we've all done this, whether you've done it on a minimal scale or you've done it on a grand scale. Now, we have adopted a lot of the wordplay, sound bites, and what have you. Matrix thinking, matrix speaking. We've adopted that from the world outside of us. We say things like, "Oh, that was you were lucky, man," or we'll say things that we've heard other people say, even though we don't embrace that wholeheartedly. It becomes our claim of fame. It becomes a statement that we're all too comfortable with. I can't really think of one right now, but if I do, I'll mention it. But to my point, the narcissist is recruiting healthy, normal people all through life, all through generations. If you go back to the Bible, Satan manipulated. First of all, he got the thought pattern off of what God had told Adam and Eve, and he convinced them to entertain. Well, he didn't convince them, he distracted them and manipulated them by getting their attention. And when he got their attention, he gave them something to ponder. You won't surely die with you, will you, if you eat of the fruit of the Garden of Eden, of good and bad? Now he put that into their he put that into their consciousness, and they entertained it. And this is what a narcissist does. They will play on what you already know, and they dismantle it little by little. They will come in and see your strength, and they'll chip away at it. What does that have to do with them not letting you talk? This is how it works with the narcissist. And the people who I was talking about here, prior to just emphasizing the narcissist, who a lot of us have been, we have adopted, say a person is talking and they're comfortable with what they're saying. Our insecurities, inferiority complexes, and these type of things play a big part in a knee-jerk statement like that. We'll be like, "Oh, you won't let me finish. Oh, you won't let me talk." Now, we all have a story, and everyone wants to have their 15 seconds of fame. Everybody wants to have the floor. That's fair. And a lot of times with me, and this is how I understand myself to be. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm not saying I'm better or worse, but just follow me. I tend to talk in conjunction with other people. As a person is talking, I actually can talk in conjunction. I don't know if you understand this, but there are many people I've observed, just casually observed, that are talking. They are having a tennis ping pong, not match, but like a serve and return type conversation. And there are many of us that can do that. Now, this will wreak havoc and frustrate a narcissist, first of all, but it will also frustrate codependents, childhood wounds, people who are not completely well within themselves, who are undone, who don't have the self-esteem, who don't have the confidence to be attuned to this person outside of them is just really secure in their conversation and the dynamics of the conversation. So what happens is you want to tell your story. You don't want to be interrupted. Your train of thought gets screwed with. And that may be the case with the subscriber here. Your train of thought may even get interrupted because some of us, we need to have interrupted train of thought. And if someone interjects or chimes in and makes a few statements or a comment, it somehow throws us off because we have to entertain what they said. So the consciousness is thrown off. Now, if you've gone through narcissistic personality disorder, abuse, your mind is in a frail state to begin with. So add in, you're trying to tell somebody your story and they're interjecting their point of view or their comment. This throws you completely out of sync with the reality of what they're actually doing, and you take offense to this. Okay, so now that's out of the way. Be mindful of that. If you're a non-narcissist and you're doing this, resist the impulsive knee-jerking of reacting with a verbal assault, like, "Oh, you won't let me finish." Sometimes it is just okay to breathe and say, "Okay, can I just finish?" And then you can comment, just let me tell the story, please, because I'm kind of trying to hear what you're saying and I'm trying to say this. No disrespect, but I just want to finish so you can hear what I'm saying. And then you can give me your comment or whatever. It's okay to say that. The person may be a little bit offended. They may not voice their offense. But at the same time, what you're doing, you're giving clarity to the point or to the fact that you cannot keep your train of thought when you're speaking. Now, it may be a bold thing for you to do, and you may not feel comfortable doing that because guess what? You being a well-meaning person, you're being an empath, chosen one. We want to be well received. So for the fact that we don't want to offend, even when we are offended, we don't put our foot down. We don't stand in our truth. We don't make it known what the issue is in order to rectify the problem. We, in essence, let the problem continue to build, and the frustration in us comes out in all the wrong ways. So I hope that wasn't overcomplicating what you guys know about the situation when sometimes people may say, hey, you won't let me finish, you won't let me get a word in edgewise. This is the well-meaning people, non-narcissists I was speaking about. Now let's go about our business with the narcissists. That is their favorite tactic. I made a short one time. I'm just giggling like crazy. If you go check that out, I essentially say this is 1 to 2 things that the narcissist's favorite things to say. And that is, you think you know everything. You don't know everything. You think you know it all. That is a backhanded, front-handed, side-handed, up-handed, down-handed insult out the gate when you meet a narcissist. In the entry of the beginning of a relationship or family dynamics, whatever, workplace, if you are outspoken, you will be met with this type of comment or remark. And if you somehow are broken or disheveled mentally, the narcissist picks up on this. And what they essentially do, they kick in their assault and they're destroying you in high gear. It's like kicking you when you're down, because what they're doing is they're trying to beat down them insecurities by saying, can you let me finish? Because they want to have dominance in that conversation, because what they're saying, allow me to do my magic trick. Allow me to finish my magic trick before you tell me you can see how this ends. You can see the rabbit in the hat. You can see the rabbit under my tuxedo. Don't ruin it for me, the narcissist. This is what they're actually saying. Subliminally, they're breaking you down. They're like, can you let me finish? You won't ever let me finish. And oftentimes, you will be the opposite of disheveled or broken. You will be someone who has firm boundaries, but in many cases, the narcissist can break through them. And this is how they do it. They'll break through your boundaries or your walls that you have put up by way of past relationships. You come to the point where, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. This is even before you knew about narcissist personality disorder. You somehow would not let a person take what you believed was your truth. And this is when they'll interject. Can you just let me? You won't let me? Blah, 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 blah. Whatever you can think of in any of those dynamics, they will come in with those type of remarks. So how do you know the difference? How you know the difference is their body language. And then you have to realize, what are we talking about? You have to remain conscious of what the conversation is to begin with. And based on that, if you can remain conscious of what is happening and taking place in that conversation, You can understand right way the manipulation as it's happening. You can be able to process this in real time, that this person is really trying to take dominance in this conversation, and you say to yourself subconsciously, this is a competition, this is not, it's not that big of a deal to me. And you right way kick it down a gear and you allow them to continue to speak whatever it is they're speaking. Now what you begin to do, you go on a vigilance, hypervigilance, engagement of sorts. You begin to consciously not only listen to what they're saying, you look at their body language, you look at the many cases, they'll look at you, but when you're looking directly at the narcissist, you'll find out their train of their stare won't be as constant as yours. That's another sign of manipulation. Poor eye contact. And they're terrible at it. They're terrible at it when you are consciously wanting to understand them, and they can see it and read it on your face that you're trying to understand them. And if you're giving them that somber stare, it scares the hell out of them. Because what they're thinking is they don't know what you're thinking. It's like, do he know? Does she know? Does he know I'm bullshitting him? Probably not. And so they'll stare at you. But if you nod your head in agreement, you'll either see that body language accelerate. They'll get all giddy and look away again. And they'll have these silly, instant half seconds of smirks on their face. Because what that smirk suggests is, I've gotten over with yet another phase. Now I can move to the next phase. They're in their mind already celebrating dismantling you. They're celebrating. And that is their demise, because guess what? They don't do the math. They only know how to plot. They're poor planners. They know how to plot, but they're poor planners because if they were good planners, they would have backup plans. And they don't have a backup plan. And you know why? Because they don't think it through. That what if this person wakes up? What if this person chews through the ropes of this psychological manipulation? What if God intervenes? They don't believe in God. They're void of God. They think they are God. The omniscience, grandiose, God-like thinking, which was Satan's problem, by the way. First narcissist ever recorded. That's why I say that Bible has some truths in it that you could never, ever begin to imagine. And I don't like to use subliminal messages in the Bible, but I'll use subliminal just to establish case in point. This is what you have to understand when you're reading any book that's sacred, and for me, it's the Bible. It's subliminal in many cases. Your your human framework of thinking and rationale won't be able to compute with it. It's beyond your comprehension in the natural. It's almost like you have to have somewhat of an out-of-body experience to ride along on the carpet ride of what God is trying to show you. And that's the humility. That's you kind of giving up on the free fall, if you will. Never jumped out of a plane. If you got a guide that's behind you on the parachute, you're in front. And I always thought that was cool, but that is trust there. To go skydiving, you have to almost put yourself in that mentality if you want to approach the Bible. And so this is what a narcissist does. They're capitalizing on the fact that what they see is not always what is really happening. They think they're duping you. They think they're manipulating you little by little. In many cases, they are. So they begin to celebrate. And this is why you'll get these silly, stupid ass stares that you get from them. Nothing appealing about them. I see it a lot now, just, on the outside looking in now that, being awake. I see it all the time. Very disturbing. As I said before, you want to tell people, you want to share with them what you know, but they're not awake and they cannot really process this. And it's unfortunate that we know what we know and we cannot share it openly everywhere we go. So this is a superpower, and that is an aspect of what these narcissists do in conversation. They will always try to use that remark as a go-to tactic because they don't need you to interrupt them when they're doing this manipulation, this hocus pocus, brainwashing, hypnosis, trailer park hypnosis, if you will. And it's disgusting because as we look back at all the things that they did in the entry, we began to consummate lives and relationships with these people, buying into their excuses, their lies, their sob stories, their victim hood stories. And we believe that we were the blessing that God brought into their life to help them heal and go about life in a greater way together as a team, just to find out that you were the only one on the team. You're the only one practicing. You're the only one running the drills. And when game day comes, they don't show up. Crunch time, they don't put up numbers. These are some very, very intricate dynamics that we now know and we're being enlightened with, and we are responsible with processing this and then thereby going out and reaching the masses to let them know that there is something that's happening right up under your nose when you're sitting in the church, when you're sitting in the school, when you're sitting in the briefing rooms of the police squad, when you're in the military and you're in basic training. There are narcissists all over the place recruiting you, not in just a way that you think you're being recruited, not in a fashionable, noble way. You're being recruited to fail. Can you imagine a narcissist drill instructor that trains you to be all you can be? You end up being more than he expected you to be because God went with you. You end up being a Navy SEAL that's broken records, that didn't get killed in battle. You came back home without a scratch on you. I tell people a lot of times I park in the Veterans parking lot in Home Depot and the Walmart and the Lowe's and wherever I go. And dare them ask me, what are you doing in the Veterans parking lot? Well, been through narcissistic abuse, been in family court for 7 years straight, got hit by a car, ran over, survived it, got my sternum broken twice, and all the other things that I probably can't think of right now. Because family court in and of itself is like a tour of duty if you didn't know that. That's probably why I've been procrastinating a divorce with this monster. It's going to be child's play, but I'm going to tell you the time that I have laxed and has gone by, which is be 4 years, April 7th this year, 21, 2, 3, 4, be 5 years I've been legally married to this demon. And some would say, man, you should have gotten on top of that, earlier rather than now. And I just think, time heals all wounds. And what I've been doing with this time, I've been notating, I've been documenting, whether mentally or physically. I've been doing the math. I've been doing the training, the basic training. I've been recruiting myself for war because this is not going to be a battle that is going to be fought traditionally as one would expect in divorce court. And this will be my first time actually going to a divorce court. My other two divorces from my other wives was they both filed the divorce. So I can guess you said they made it easy for me. This will be the first one that I'll initiate. And I guess every day I've been hoping that I receive the papers and just go at it that way. But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. been hoping like hell they meet a new supply, and due to them, unfortunately, convince them that they should get divorced to me, is what I'm saying. Don't wish the evil and the destruction on the new supply, by the way, but that's inevitable. It's imminent. There's no way around it. So the conversation we're having about the narcissist trying to either outtalk you or slight you with these comments, be mindful of that, because now that you have boundaries and you're aware of what they are and what they look like, and you're awake and you know most often this is just a manipulative tactic by dark energies, be it narcissists. And a lot of times if it's not narcissists, nonetheless, you still don't want somebody to downplay your importance and your knowledge and insight, and have it mislabeled like, you don't want to let them get a word in edgewise, because that in fact may not even be the case. You have every right to make it known to them, or even make it clear to them. You can attempt this with someone you may not even surmise that's a narcissist, because a lot of times right off the gate, you may not know it's a narcissist. You may have a good hunch. So what you do is you go on to attempt to say, hey, this is not my intention to do all the talking, but this is something I'm familiar with. If that offends you, go ahead and finish what you were saying, and see if that attempt you make makes the situation better. Because most often, this is what they'll say, and I'll end with this. They'll be like, oh, no, forget it. It's all right. Nope, don't worry about it right now. That is a simple indicator that these people are really disordered, because they don't want no peace. They don't want to have a harmonizing conversation. You mean to tell me now you've went the way that they wanted you to go, and all of a sudden they've done it 180. Now they don't want to continue. They don't want to finish the conversation. For you to frustrate somebody that bad till they just shut down, they have some real damage. And that damage that they have, they're trying to load it off to you. That being said, bless.